guys, how are you? Good? Alright. So I'm Zahid Khan, and I've been an actor, producer in Bollywood for the last 24 years. And I know it sounds like a long time, but it passes by in a flash, I'll tell you that. Um, guys, I'm going to start by saying something very pertinent to this journey you guys are going to be on. So I'm going to start by saying there are three very important things to be successful in Bollywood. One is perseverance and discipline. Two is relevance, how relatable you are with the current audience, the future audience. And three, how to create magic. So let's start with the first point of perseverance. It's really about getting hit and getting back up all over again and never saying die. It's about either winning at that moment or losing to that moment. So perseverance and discipline plays a very important part in how your success trajectory can be. So I'll start off by saying, that I was doing this song in one of my films called Mehuna, which was a one-shot song. It was a song without a single cut. And mind you, at that time, we never had digital film, where you had limitless RAM and you could just go on shooting. We had celluloid, and every time that camera turned on, money was rolling. So I remember it was in Darjeeling, high altitude, and 90 dancers, 140 crew members. And I was in that moment where this was make or break time for me. The camera was about to pan towards me, and I was just so anxious and nervous at that time. I said, Zahid, dig deep. I'm going to now rewind 4 months prior to this moment before I come back to this moment. So 4 months prior to this moment, I was a guy who had 2 left feet. So for those of you guys who don't know what 2 left feet are, I was not the best dancer in the world. So, dancing to music festivals and jumping up and down and dancing to Bollywood are 2 very different things. One is for fun and one is extremely disciplined. So I remember there were 2 shifts of 4 hours each. I think Bunty knows how we do this because we do this on events all the time. And I had to do this performance of a lifetime that would either make my career go like this or they would sit on the editing table and cut me out completely. And I remember that every day I showed up and I made sure that I was there on time, making sure that I respected other people's time, working day in, day out till, I was sweating. I had, blisters the size of cherries on my feet. But I never gave up. I said, I have to do it again and again and again. And then once more, again, because I wanted it to be perfect. But the truth is, man, that in between doing this, I was getting very insecure because I wasn't getting the beat. I wasn't able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, I've signed on to something so amazing, so big. It's such a big star cast. I just possibly can't fail these people who believed in me. And most importantly, I couldn't fail myself. I had to believe that I could pass this barrier. I dug deep. I went again at it. And by God, man, slowly and steadily, the song started to come into my muscle memory. Then it came into my bones. Then the swag came into my existence. And I swear to you, I could close my eyes and do the song without even the song being played, I was getting that good. And I tell you, at that point in time, I felt so confident and so unstoppable that it made me feel, wow, I'm ready for this moment now. Now, coming back to that moment where the song is actually being shot and the camera is panning towards me and Farah's like, and trust me, you don't want to mess with Farah Khan behind the camera, okay? Uh, and those 50 days of rehearsals, day in and day out, day in and day out, went by in 3 minutes. And those 3 minutes were the most amazing time of my life, because at that point in time I knew one thing. I knew I was prepared. I knew I'd done the homework. I knew I had done everything, done and dusted everything, and I was feeling confident. And after those 3 minutes and dancing at high altitude in Darjeeling, where people were just like collapsing all the time, after getting breathless, I felt, whoa man, this was worth it. And that song, my friends, was called Chale Jaise Hawaii. And it's played till today all over the globe, in weddings, in clubs, on Diwali, Holi. And there are two sides to this. One is a technical side and one is a human side. So the technical side is like, let me just come back a little bit and say, when I was in school, we had a library and we had God. And I used to pray to God from time to time because, especially when my exams were coming. You guys have Google and ChatGPT and all the AI tools at your beck and call. So, sometimes back in the day when we used to do our own stunts, some stunts were really dangerous. They were like so dangerous that the production could come to a standstill. And we always had a stuntman on the side to do some of the really dangerous stuff. And sometimes, I'm sure everybody must be like asking themselves, okay, you actually don't do those fight sequences. You don't actually jump from those buildings. Yeah, man. Sometimes we don't, because the truth is that if the actor gets hurt doing it and injured doing it, the production suffers, the studio suffers, the cost of making the movie goes up because of his absence. So, when technology came in and when CGI came in, it became such an important aspect of filmmaking, because nowadays, I'm telling you, sometimes you see some of us actors look like Jackie Chan doing all of these beautiful stunts and, kicking and jumping across helicopters. And the truth is that, through CGI and motion control cameras, the actor gives the expression and his lends his face. The stuntman does the entire stunt, and both those things are married together. And magic happens. Magic happens. And it's happening on every studio across the globe, in India, everywhere. They're all using these tools because filmmaking is a creative process, it's a team process, and everybody needs to come in together to make something fantastic happen. So the technical side is very important because that helps the person, the production, from really kind of being on track and making things work. Now the other sides of being relatable. So all of you guys, if you're not sort of going to be up to speed with the new tools and new software, new AI, especially in filmmaking, you're going to be obsolete. So you either come up or be left behind. That's the other option. So now let's come on to a lighter moment where we come to the human side of how to be relatable. So I'll give you an example of, I was coaching my son's basketball team. So while we were there, one very chalu chap, he comes to me from the opposite team with a glitter in his eye, and he looks at me and he says, "Sir, I like your drip." I said, "Kya?" I was confused. I said, "ये क्या बोल रहा है? Drip, drip, क्या है ये?" 9 साल का बच्चा था. I was like, my God. I called my son. I said, "Aris, come here." I said, "What does he mean by drip?" He said, "Papa, chill, Papa. He means he likes your style." I was like, "Oh, okay, okay." I was like, "ठीक है, चलता है." So, I'm being tutored by my son in acronyms and slang that you guys are using with each other. And it's a two-way street. So, when you all are being taught, we are being taught. It's a beautiful universe. So, yes, how relatable you are with the present and future audience matters. So be up to speed at that as well. So the third point I'm going to be talking about is creating magic. Now, what does one actually fathom by saying creating magic? What does that mean? So I'm going to quote a book. It's a book called Science, The Secrets of the Universe by Laura Lynn Jackson. And she says something very interesting. She says, "For all those of you guys that do not believe in magic, often will never find it." So, why am I using that quote? Why am I trying to make you understand what that is? Magic is being prepared for the moment. Magic is getting people together under impossible circumstances, under one roof, leading by example, making the impossible possible, whatever the cost, because that is truly when human empathy is working at its best. I have to say, there was a scene I was doing in Meuna. It was a very long scene. It was about 6 pages long. And I was doing this opposite Shah Rukh Khan. And for some odd reason, I was unable to say my lines. I was getting nervous. I was fumbling. And I could just see that the people in the entire, on the set were getting pissed off. And then something very magical happened. Shah Rukh came to me and he looked at me with sincerity in his eyes. He says, "Do you want to rehearse?" I was very embarrassed at that time and a little hesitant to take up his offer. But I saw the sincerity in his eyes and I said, "Yes, I would like to rehearse." So he takes me to the side and for half an hour we're going at each other, doing our lines. And he did it with such tender, loving care, without making me feel the pressure. He told me, you know what, Zai? Don't worry, buddy. It's okay. Sometimes we all have a bad day. It's okay. When a senior like that comes to you and gives you that confidence, it was simply mind-blowing. I came back, I gave the shot, and after the shot was over, there was pin drop silence. And I'm wondering to myself, oh God, did I hit those notes? Did I say this emotionally enough? Is Farah going to throw a chappal at me? And then in the distance, I heard the sound of clapping. And I can tell you, in that moment, I felt something magical happen. Something impossible happened. It was one of the greatest moments in my life to be, to be gestured that way, that you did it, man. So yes, I have to thank Shah Rukh for being such a and understanding when to come in and when not to come in. But that was a magical moment for me, and I realized that magic does exist. You've got to find it. Miracles happen. You've got to put in the effort, be prepared, and they happen. And on the final note, I would like to leave you with something. And it's something called active listening. Active listening is a superpower, guys. It's a real superpower. You know, many a time we see that a lot of people are talking over each other, and sometimes it's just noise. Sometimes there's not real conversation happening, but you feel the need to say something, or you give your opinion because I'm more intelligent than you. At that point in time, I tell myself three things. One, should I say it? Two, should I say it now? And three, or should I wait and let it just unravel on its own? Because most of the time, you'll realize that you've already got your answers out of all the people that are talking, and you really didn't need to say anything to disturb the track. So ladies, gentlemen, students, faculty, École Mondiale, and everybody out there in the universe and the world, I hope that my experiences, that you could take a page out of some of the experiences I've had, and I hope it helps you in your own. Thank you for having me. It was a great pleasure. Thank you.